This is The Drive with Dale Lolley and Matt Williamson on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
Welcome to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, it's a lovely Wednesday outside here in Pittsburgh.
Sort of. I mean, it's nice right now.
Yeah. Last night, a storm rolled through here, knocked the lights out. We are actually in a studio here that actually has power. Mm-hmm. Everything else in the building, out.
Out, yeah. I walked in and something's beeping, and I went to use the drinking fountain. That doesn't work. I guess that's via electricity. I didn't put two and two together on that. Then you broke my heart, and you're like, I don't think you can make a coffee either. I'm like, whoa.
Matt always drinks about 2 to 3 cups of coffee during
It's always
the
the
show.
same. There's one full one, and then it gets almost to the end, and then I top it off, and then I go to water at the end. You know? Yep. Now my system's all
That's
messed
why he keeps
up.
himself hyped up.
I know, and I degenerate it. And to really pull back the curtain, last night's the first night I didn't sleep with my CPAP for like years. And I'm tired as could be. I'm like, I can't wait for that coffee. Heartbreaker. The day that it couldn't be there because we didn't have power all night. We could power back. Came back at noon today.
It came rolling through by my house really bad, but we never lost electricity or anything.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of trees down.
But I texted you last. I knew somebody was coming home from the South Hills. He had done a baseball game up there. He'd umpired a baseball game, and he was telling me it was really bad.
It was, yeah.
All the lights were out and everything, and I'm like, well, we didn't get hit quite that hard. We got hit, but not anything like that. And then I texted you later in the night, and you didn't get back to me. I'm like, oh, I'll bet Matt's.
Yeah, my phone was a paperweight for a while there until about noon today. Yeah. And what's crazy is for whatever reason in our house, we don't get good cell service unless we use the internet. Yeah. So my kids were losing their minds. I mean, they were just going anywhere that had,
that's like going back to the old days when.
Oh yeah, they're like, I forget what my son was saying. He's something like, this is like the 1800s here. I'm like, not quite. You still are fiddling on your iPad, but it's a little.
In regards to that, so I've been doing this a long time,
mm-hmm.
and a friend of mine from college got a job in Jacksonville one year.
Okay,
and we were talking. He came to Pittsburgh about a month ago, and we were talking. I met him before he flew back to Boston, and we were talking about it. He goes, remember the time we met in Jacksonville? And there were no cell phones at the time.
Right.
And somehow we figured out exactly where to meet in Jacksonville without cell phones. And we didn't miss each other.
Yeah.
Like,
that's how it used to be.
I was telling my daughters about that. I'm like, okay. He's like, they couldn't figure out how to meet their friends without their cell phones.
Oh, I know. I mean, like everybody, we would be on our corded phone in the kitchen. All right, I call Jeff, you call Jason, we'll meet here, and then someone's 10 minutes late, but who knows? Or, somehow we all made it work.
Yeah. Different era.
You call him, I'll call him. Okay, well, just to get together for dinner.
So I bring that up because it's funny. I was chatting with, I'm working on a story on Derrick Harmon.
Yeah, pretty cool.
First-round draft pick. I talked to his high school coach today. And his high school coach got hired. He had a couple coaches, but the guy he had his senior year got hired the week before the season
That's
started.
who you talked to today.
That's who I talked to today. And he was telling me that he's like, because I asked him, I said, was that when COVID hit? Because it was in that time frame. He goes, funny you mention that. He goes, I got hired on a Monday. Wednesday we had a first team meeting. Friday everything shut down because of COVID.
Wow. And he doesn't know any of the dudes.
He said, I don't know anybody there. He said. And he told me, he said, Derrick Harmon was like a coach with that team. He says he organized all the Zoom calls, set them up, made sure everybody was on them.
Yeah.
Just took care of
This is new for everybody, and
yeah.
These kids are 16, 17, 18 years old, looking up to him, I assume.
And it was a private school, so it wasn't like it was a neighborhood situation.
Okay.
He went to an all-boys school in Detroit.
So a lot of them are from distance.
They're all they're not all in the same neighborhood where you can run next door to Jimmy's house. Says, hey Jimmy, get on the Zoom call.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Said he was like another coach with that. He said he's a great leader.
Yeah, I've gotten that impression. Super well organized. All the stuff with his family and his mom. Really being on top of that situation.
Highly focused and because of that situation, and just highly focused, highly motivated, and just a great leader.
And Mike Pursuta was telling stories about him right after they drafted him, too, going back to the Michigan State stuff, Pursuta, Michigan State, that with a lot of his NIL money, he was getting really put it towards his mother, what I mean, like towards vehicles so that she could use and that kind of stuff. He wasn't buying Lamborghinis and stupid stuff, right?
He wasn't Carson Becking it up.
Right.
Now, he wasn't making Carson Beck money
you
either.
have enough, do what you want. But right. No, but he sounds like a great human,
Yeah. So just interesting how, just some of the we even talked about the recruiting process. I'm like, what was that recruiting process like during COVID?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it was interesting because if schools from out of state couldn't come in, they couldn't fly in and visit with the player.
Sure.
And so, he's like, I had to send out, tapes and everything to all these other schools to get, to drum up the interest because
they're not going to. So to pull back the curtain, like at least in my day, which was a long time ago, but I'm sure it's pretty similar. Our D-line coach did Whippeals, did local. I mean, our tight end coach had New Jersey. Like you had these territories where you really built relationships, and you'd go into high schools even if they didn't have a kid because you just wanted to see the coach, and because they're going to have a kid.
See
next
what's coming
time
in the pipeline.
Right. Maybe you ask about an opponent that you're recruiting or whatever. But the big schools you hit all the time, and you really develop a relationship with the people in the building. And none of that could have existed.
Couldn't do it.
Right.
Couldn't do it. I mean, especially if, you couldn't even go out of, like, you couldn't get into some of these states.
Oh, I bet.
Like if you're Iowa and you're recruiting somebody in Michigan, you couldn't get there.
You couldn't get there at all. Yeah. And I didn't know what a Zoom was before that.
Nor did I.
I remember we were coming home from the combine that year, and they were like, made jokes about Corona the beer. I'm like, what's that?
That was the first time I saw somebody in a mask.
Yeah, me too.
I was walking over to the mall, the Center City Mall or whatever it's called, the Circle
Probably
Mall.
like our last day there or whatever.
And somebody was walking through there with a mask. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
That's strange, yeah. I remember hearing Phillip Rivers is going to be a Colt and figured out what the coronavirus was that time as we were leaving.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Steelers, again, will have their rookie minicamp next weekend, so they'll get an opportunity to get hands-on this rookie draft class. They'll also have their tryouts. Every team has some guys they bring in for tryouts.
People don't realize that. It is kind of almost like a high school, college situation where you just bring dudes in, try them out, and sometimes you find somebody.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, a camp body. Or,
they've gotten Terrence Garvin out of that, for example.
Okay. I was say, is there any names you knew of that stuck?
Who actually made the team, coming out of that, So, you do find some guys that slip through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think
that happens before the minicamp.
Yes, that
that
happens during the rookie minicamp.
Okay.
They just bring, because you don't, for rookie minicamp, you bring in your draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in your undrafted free agent guys.
Yeah.
You can bring in some first-year players.
From rookies from the year before.
Rookies from the year before, but I think I don't know.
There's some specification
There's
on
a
it,
specification on it, typically not draft picks. Guys that have played, I think if they've been on the active roster.
The first-round pick's not going to be there.
Yeah, if they've been on the active roster for a certain number, they can't do this. So, I mean, if you just did it out of that, your draft class, your undrafted guys, and 5 or 6 guys that you can bring in, you wouldn't have much of a camp.
It's not going to be 11 on 11, that's for sure. Right,
you would have 25 guys there, and you'd be like, okay, what are we going to do here now? So you bring in these undrafted guys.
To field some semblance of a team.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this off the air yesterday. Like, well, what if they didn't draft a quarterback? Well, you need a quarterback at these things.
Right.
At least one, probably 2. So they're definitely going to have another, not even a camp arm, a mini camp arm.
A rookie mini camp arm.
Right. So probably somebody local.
And for that guy,
it's something.
You might keep him around. I think I saw it was a quarterback from New Hampshire, Mount Lebanon guy. For him, you might keep him around just because. Right. Hey, let's keep a fourth arm around until Aaron Rodgers signs.
Specialist could be the same way or whatever. Right. You got a leg up over whoever else.
Right.
And at least you do something.
You play that position.
Yeah. It's interesting.
I did want to make some clarification here. Yesterday, I misspoke with the situation with Nick Herbig's contract. He just finished year 2. I don't know. For some reason, I had it in my head it was year 3.
I was thinking about that too. It's like they got that's 2 years down the road that could be the situation.
Right.
They're not going to lose him next
No,
offseason.
Yeah, he's here for next season, and
which is big.
Yeah,
I remember talking through him like, boy, that seems quick, but things happen quick in this league. I guess I missed
we did
it,
a lot of radio
it.
in a lot of hours over the last. I don't know, 5 or 6 days, and everything starts to bang around in your head. You I completely misspoke on that, but
only 1 year difference. But
yeah,
they do have them for
but
the next two.
The fact remains, you still needed that fourth.
Oh yeah,
guy.
yeah. I mean, it's still a logical acquisition, and the style of outside linebacker edge guy they got is a lot different than Herbig too. But maybe by that 2 year stretch, he's Sawyer's a starter, or who knows? You know, what I mean, a lot can change.
You don't know what's going to happen.
Right, right.
They, think about it this way. What if, when the injury situation happened with Ryan Shazier, where they had Stephon Tuitt retire,
but
unexpectedly, they had already had that guy in place,
right? I mean, that's the ideal way
as opposed to
it.
waiting to do it. Like I think they've done a really good job. Of building depth across the board. Like you think about the inside linebacker position.
No doubt, safety.
Right? Some of these spots where you're like, oh, did they really need that? And then all of a sudden, look at it, well, okay, I guess those things happen.
Oh yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, we can be real critical of draft classes and whatnot, but they only give you 7 picks to start. I mean, you really have to allocate where you're going with these. I mean, is a backup outside linebacker more important than a guard? Could be, I mean, and you want to keep a strength, and obviously it depends who's there on the board and all those things too. But it's hard to have a succession plan. It's not like the olden days with the Steelers where pre-free agency or James Harrison's waiting in the wings. I mean, that's really hard to pull off nowadays because you don't have these guys as long or develop them as well. You
don't have as many practices.
You don't have many practices, right?
And free agency hits, and somebody's going to offer them something. I just look at, there were people on the message board. Oh, I can't. You guys are praising them for signing Robert Woods. It's depth. We were
praising them, but
we said
it's fine. Right.
It's a no risk move.
Right.
What's the loss there? What's the
it's not
the
a
downside?
big signing bonus. You didn't have to cut somebody to sign him.
You give him $2 million. That doesn't even guarantee he makes the team.
I say he might not make the team. There's a chance. I mean, I think you sign him with the intentions that he's going to be a contributor. But if it doesn't work out,
I'm not saying this is a guy that puts you over the top.
No, I don't think it's AB or Lynn Swan.
But if you lose George Pickens in the middle of the season or something, you'll be glad you had him.
Right. It's not a huge move, but it's worth discussing.
Yeah. I guess we're not supposed to talk about those things.
Yeah.
It's like Fight Club. Anyways.
We'll just talk about the Grail all the time.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Some interesting moves going on around the league with the 5th-year option stuff. I wanted to talk about that next when we come back. He's Matt Williamson. I'm Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, we've talked about this one over the last couple of months here, and it turned out to be the case. And it was an interesting case here. The Ravens today, I think by the end of the week, teams have to announce the 5th-round option stuff for the guys who were taken in the 2022 draft.
Okay, that's a Kenny Pickett year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ravens announcing today they will pick up the 5th-year option on safety
Kyle Hamilton.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of this yet. Yeah.
They're not going to pick it up on center Tyler Linderbaum.
Which we've talked about this before, but is not an indictment on the player. It's kind of an indictment on the system.
And yet, that's what people look at. Well, you didn't pick up his 5th-year option. You must not like the player.
Right. I mean, the Steelers didn't pick up Edmonds and Najee recently because it wasn't worth it. I mean, for those particular positions in particular. And Linderbaum, to me, is easily a top 5 center. They're happy with him. They like him. He's a good player. But you got to pay him like a tackle. Yeah, and that's
they would have to pay him $23.4 million if they pick up that 5th-year option.
Wow.
Fully guaranteed. The moment you offer that, not only is next year guaranteed, you're essentially guaranteeing this year as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. The timing's always so goofy on it, too. I mean, you got to kind of have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Now, I think you mentioned off the air that they're planning on having contract.
They would like to have contract
with
discussions with him, but if I'm him, I'm like, well, I could have had $23.4 million.
Right.
The top centers are making $17, $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
I want 20 plus.
I'm coming in at 20 then.
Yeah.
You know, like I guess no one's giving you 23, but you would hit the open market a year from now.
In what this situation, this year was a bad center draft.
Very.
So
Great one 2 years ago.
Yeah, nobody's getting centers necessarily out of this draft. There may be some that happen,
Zabel or who knows, right? Yeah.
But it wasn't a great center draft, so nobody's gonna. If you had a center need,
there's more seats at the table.
You're
going to
still have a center need next year
filled.
too.
Yeah. That's a great point because, if there's 32 good ones, and there really is probably 25, then maybe one team finds one this year, or maybe two. Where last year there was like 6 or 7 in the Frazier draft.
Yeah,
and then someone's going to retire, someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to, there's going to be more seats opening than filling.
So looking at this, the guys who've been picked up already.
Looks like we have lights on out there.
Yeah, how about that?
I'm going to make some coffee after this segment.
The Jaguars are picking up the option on number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker.
Okay. People probably think that's a debatable one. He's been a real good player.
He had a good year last year.
He's not as good as Hutchinson. That's really his crime, is he's not as good as Hutchinson.
And then Tyler said, let there be light.
Let there be light. Boom. And there it was.
Aiden Hutchinson, okay.
Easy one,
yeah.
right.
But the difference there, Trayvon Walker's got there are 4 levels at which you pick these things up.
It can be confusing, but it's really important to know this.
It's basic, playtime, guys who've made 1 Pro Bowl and guys who've made multiple Pro Bowls.
I assume Hutchinson's made multiple.
He's only made 1.
I guess he wouldn't have went last year because of the injury, right?
Basic is for guys who do not meet any of the requirements to be eligible for 50-year base salary calculated the average. They still get the average from the 3rd to 25th highest salaries at their position over the last 5 seasons.
And for example, O-line is just O-line. That's all the tackles and right.
The playtime one, they get the 50-year option if they've played 75% or greater of their snaps in 2 of their first 3 seasons, or an average of 75% or greater over the course of all 3 seasons, or 50% over the entirety of it.
Okay.
So you got to be at least a 50% player.
Yeah, you got to be on the field.
Yeah. And those guys get the average from the 3rd to 20th highest paid players at their position.
Okay. I mean, so that's a nice chunk. Yeah. I assume Hutchinson's pricier than Walker.
Yes, that's where I was going with this.
Same position. Okay.
If you've made 1 Pro Bowl on the original ballot, not as an alternate.
Oh,
so
good.
They do designate that.
Huntley didn't count.
You get the equal of the transition tag.
Oh, wow.
Which is top.
That's good money. Yeah.
And if you've been to multiple Pro Bowls, you get the franchise tag tender.
Really? Okay. Wow. That seems high. I mean, that's why it's so high.
That's why you see guys that
there's just less 5th-year options picked up than people think or used to for this CBA.
So the difference between Walker on a playtime, they play the same position, Walker and Hutchinson. They're both edge rushers.
Ends,
yeah. Walker's going to get his 5th-year option is $14.75 million.
Okay. So that's not a bad pickup for him. He's young. You want to keep him, right?
Had 10 sacks last year.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Hutchinson's 5th-year option, $20.8 million.
Wow.
He makes $6 million more because he made a Pro Bowl.
And he's coming. I mean, it's an easy one, but he's coming off a major injury, and he was great when he was healthy. But that's a pretty pricey jump for a rookie.
Sauce Gardner, the 3rd,
again, guaranteed, folks.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner was the 3rd overall pick. He gets the multiple Pro Bowl. So for a cornerback, it's $20.2 million basically, 20.18.
These guys are 20 plus.
Yeah. Kayvon Thibodeau was the 3rd overall pick.
Did they pick his up?
They picked his up.
Okay. I thought they announced that.
Again, he gets that 14.75. Ekawanu as a offensive lineman, even though it's just the playtime option, $17.56 million.
Yeah. And that probably wasn't a simple, easy decision.
This is the decision the Steelers are going to have to make after this season on Broderick Jones.
Yeah. And Icky started slow, and now they're happy enough with him.
Yeah.
But they're not, like, out of the woods. He's phenomenal. Right?
Jones is going to have the play. He'll have the play time.
Oh, look at this guy.
Look at him. Tyler. Tyler Vittmeyer making a rare on-camera appearance there.
Oh, well worth it.
Getting Matt coffee. So $17.56 million, and
The
it's
show
going
will go much better. Too,
it will go up next year when the Steelers
it's only going to go up. Yeah,
have to make that decision on Broderick Jones. Evan Neal,
that's a no, I'm sure.
who the Giants didn't.
Yeah,
They didn't take the fifth-year option. Just the basic fifth-year option on an offensive lineman, $16.68 million.
that's an easy no, though.
Yeah.
Would you consider trading for him for like nothing? He's been bad.
He's been terrible.
He's been terrible. Like that's an easy decision for the
I don't know what he'd be
Giants.
worth. And
I mean, like a 6th-round pick.
somebody would have to
And then you only get him for a year.
Somebody would have to be a disaster at one of your two tackle positions.
Yeah.
So no.
Right,
that would
right.
be my.
I just like
answer on that.
reclamation projects. But I didn't love him coming out of Bama.
Yeah. Drake London got his picked up at $16.8 million.
Okay,
That's
that's a good deal for him.
That's the play time.
Yeah.
Charles Cross.
So he has not gone to a Pro Bowl.
No.
London. Okay.
Charles Cross with the Seahawks, $17.5 million.
Okay.
For an
solid left tackle.
for an offensive
but
tackle.
I would say he's better than
That's-
Icky, but
That's the playtime option.
okay.
Chris Olave with the Saints. He only qualifies for the basic because he's missed some time.
He's missed some time, yeah. And receivers are tough to get to the Pro Bowl.
It's still
Elected.
$15.5 million.
Yeah, but that's very worth it. I mean, that was an easy decision. They don't have any money, but
Yeah. Jamison Williams had his picked up, $15.5 million, basic playtime.
I think that was somewhat questioned.
Some
but
of that was by his own.
the playtime stuff.
He's been
right.
suspended for about 15 games.
Yeah.
More than that. He got his whole season, right?
Whole season, I think, or at least the
Basically,
majority of them.
Majority of it. The Eagles surprisingly picked up Jordan Davis's fifth-year option.
That one shocks me.
Here's the thing, though. At defensive tackle, they
He
list
hasn't gone to a Pro
interior
Bowl.
defensive line is different than defensive.
But interior O-line isn't.
Right.
Which is a flaw in the system.
It's only $12.9 million. So at that price,
yeah,
you pick it
right,
up.
Right. One
Now-
more year of a young player. You hope he's
Yeah.
developing.
If you're the Steelers, you hope that Derrick Harmon gets more than just the basic.
you hope he's been to every Pro Bowl.
I hope he's
right. Yeah,
at the very least he better get the play time.
Yeah.
You know,
So
but
he didn't.
he didn't
get
hit the play time
didn't
because he
play
barely
time.
played. You
No,
know,
so
he's
a part-time
not a
player.
high snap
Never been a
guy.
high snap guy, right?
But $12.9 million for a guy who's plays less than 50% of the snaps.
Okay. So I guess that's a pretty easy one to pick up.
It would have been 14.3 for the play time, 20.8 for one Pro Bowl, 25.1 if you've made multiple Pro Bowls
Okay, at D tackle,
at D tackle.
which is what you're hoping.
Pretty significant
Yeah,
difference.
And by then it'll be 30.
It just tells you that the big time defensive tackles are getting paid a lot of money, but it falls off pretty quickly.
Yeah. That's exactly like linebackers like that too.
Hamilton, same thing here, but he's been to multiple Pro Bowls, so he gets $18.6 million.
That's a big safety salary.
If he just had the basic, it was 9.2, so half.
Wow. Yeah, doubles just for that. Okay. Interesting.
Kenyon Green, the
No.
Eagles did not pick him up,
Yeah.
nor did they pick up Jahan Dotson, the next guy. They've got three first-round guys from this, including Jordan
Yeah,
Davis.
because they traded for Green.
They traded for Green.
Like Pickett, 3 teams had to decide on him, kind of.
Green's fifth-year option would have been $16.68 million. They decided not to pick that up.
Okay. So he's really a 1-year rental for them
Yeah.
in that trade.
Jahan Dotson has hit the playtime numbers.
Mm-hmm.
His number would have been 16.8. They're not picking
I'm sure
that
they're
up.
not picking that up. Right.
The Chargers haven't made a decision yet on Zion Johnson.
I would say I thought he was like as safe a prospect as you could get, and he hasn't been that safe.
He's
There
also
was some talk
he's
to
also
play
a
center.
guard.
Yeah, I bet's a no.
$17.56 million for the playtime
Okay.
option.
There's a lot of other interior options.
It's a lot of
They
money
did
for a
sign
guard.
Back then. I bet he won't pick it up.
Traylon Burks
Definitely not.
with the Titans, 15.493. They haven't picked that up yet.
Okay.
Trevor Penning with the Saints. They had 2 first-round draft picks that year. His would have been he would be the basic at 16.685. They haven't picked that up.
No, I mean, they drafted a tackle 2 years in a row now.
Kenny Pickett, now with the Browns.
Kind of funny.
They didn't know when they traded for him
I know. I heard
that they had to make a decision on his fifth-year option.
Mm-hmm. He's their property when the deadline hits.
Yeah.
It's not the Eagles' job.
The basic fifth-year option for him would have been $22.1 million.
Okay.
The playtime option would have been 25.3. The one Pro Bowl option would have been 35.37.
Wow.
And if you've been to multiple Pro Bowls, 40.24.
Okay. So like Jaden Daniels, I think, has already gone to a Pro Bowl.
Right.
In 1 year, he'll probably go to multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be
Which is
50
why
or
if you've got a quarterback like that on the fifth-year option, you probably want to rework you can do that after the third year.
That's why teams do it early.
Yeah, you can get that out of the way and just say, okay, we're not even going to mess with that.
Because, I mean, plus you can get injured, and I don't love the guaranteed part of it.
Trent McDuffie, they've picked that one up.
Okay.
Those last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys haven't been picked up.
There's a big stretch there weren't.
Trent McDuffie with Kansas City, 13.6, they've picked that up.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
So he has not been to a Pro Bowl.
That's a playtime, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Quay Walker with the Packers.
That'll be a no.
His would be 14.75 for being an off-ball linebacker. He would get the playtime, and they haven't picked that up yet.
No, I'd say Cooper's gone past him, too.
Kyer Elam, now with the Cowboys. Got drafted by Buffalo.
Their job,
yeah.
I'm sure they won't.
He hasn't even qualified for the playtime yet. He's 12.68.
Yeah, he's
They're not
really
going to pick that up.
Problematic.
Tyler Smith, they are picking that one up, but it's $21.27 million.
So it's be the same as Linderbaum, I bet. I mean,
Linderbaum's actually more because Tyron Smith has only been to one Pro Bowl.
Linderbaum's a multiple guy? Okay.
Yeah, Linderbaum has been to multiple Pro Bowls, so he gets 23.4, and they have not picked that up.
On Linderbaum. But
and they're not going
to.
to.
Yes, right, okay.
Yeah. Jermaine Johnson with the Jets.
I wonder what they do on that one. They really liked him, then he got hurt.
They picked it up.
Okay.
It's 13.4. He hasn't hit the playtime.
Yeah, I guess
it's just
not.
the basic.
Yeah. He also missed all last year.
Yeah. Devin Lloyd was another one with the Jaguars today. They're not picking it up.
Really? I think he's a really underrated player. I'm not saying he's a superstar, but I think he's an underrated
He's hit the playtime.
I'm sure.
Numbers on that, so it's 14.75. The Packers with Devontae Wyatt.
That's got to be a no.
They're picking it up.
Really?
Yeah. He's hit. It's the basic. And
it's probably the same as Jordan Davis.
13.92, yeah.
Okay. I guess it's not that expensive then.
And then you got Cole Strange with the Patriots.
Is that a no?
They've not picked it up. It's 16.68.
I'm sure that's the bottom rung.
Yeah.
But it's still O-line money.
The Chiefs have picked up George Karlaftis at 15.196.
These defensive ends aren't too bad.
Yeah. And then Dax Hill. The Bengals are picking up.
That's an interesting one.
They're picking up Dax Hill, and they're calling him a cornerback.
I think that's what he is now, but he was a safety then.
Yeah, it's $12.68 million.
Okay.
And that's just
how you do that.
That's just the basic.
If you position change or you're in the midst of a position change, is it like go to a committee and they improve it or not? Or I don't know.
I think maybe it depends on how much, the number of snaps that you've played.
Yeah, where you
position.
lined up. Okay, makes sense. So but he is a corner now.
Yeah, I mean, there's at least 12 guys there that haven't been picked up, and including Tyler Linderbaum.
And I say it's a pretty good draft class too. I mean, some of the better players like the Londons and Olaves don't cost you too much because they didn't hit Pro Bowls, so they were pretty easy decisions.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you got multiple first-round draft picks, that's tough.
Oh, it is. So Broderick Jones' decision comes 1 year from now. Okay. Boy, that stuff happens quick too because you really got to get ahead of it.
He hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet.
Right.
But he will get the play time.
He'll get the play time for sure.
Yeah.
He won't be the cheapest one. That's what I was thinking.
And if he makes a Pro Bowl this year, then it goes up.
He can't go to multiple, but he could either be tier 2
one
or 3.
Yeah, he's going to be tier 2 or 3 guy. And right now, if you're looking at tier 2 or 3, you're looking at $17.56 million for the play time, and you're looking
over 20 probably for the Pro
You're
Bowl.
looking at 21.27 for if he makes a Pro Bowl. Now, if he makes a Pro Bowl, you're happy.
Right. I mean, you'd gladly give him that money, and it'll be even more than that.
Especially if he's your starting left tackle.
That's what I mean, right?
Yeah.
If he's the Pro Bowl starting left tackle for the AFC, okay, you pick it up.
Yeah, right. He had a great year.
If it's similar, that's a tough decision.
Yeah. But that
comes quick.
Not all that different money than what Dan Moore signed for.
No, exactly. I mean, he's 20-ish. That's a good point. Yeah, when you're relatively speaking.
If you got to pick up
if Jones is still ascending.
Jones is it's 17.5 for just the basic playtime offensive line.
Mm-hmm. Which is likely what he'll.
Yeah, that's probably what he's going to get.
Probably the decision.
17.56. Let's say next year.
Maybe it's 18.5.
Yeah,
something, right.
18.5. Dan Moore just signed for 21.
Who would rather have?
It's not that.
But still, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why you always draft tackles.
Yeah.
I mean, draft linemen because they're really hard to pay.
And that edge rusher.
Hard to find.
The guys that took edge rushers in the first round this year, you got Myles Garrett's contract.
Oh, yeah. They've spiked. Like Parsons hasn't even signed
yet. You're going to have
yet.
Parsons signing a new deal.
Right. Watt's going to sign a new deal.
Maybe Hutchinson gets a new deal. Maybe, Watt gets a new deal. It might be
inflation
30,
at that
position. It might be 35.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point. I would say, what positions jumped heavily this offseason?
That's one.
Garrett really threw things out.
I mean, Crosby got money.
Yeah, Crosby was another one, right? Yeah, it's going to get real pricey.
I mean, you get top 5 money at that position. If you make multiple Pro Bowls and you get the franchise tag value at edge rusher, yikes.
Yeah. I was thinking about receiver, too. Jamar Chase signed a big deal. I mean, he was an easy fifth-year pickup at the time, but, man, I mean, it's not that team-friendly.
It really isn't.
I mean, it really isn't.
Yeah, and
you'd rather negotiate beforehand. Like, if you could get a deal done with Roger Jones now, do it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Steelers are going to do that.
Right.
But, because you want to see I want him to be motivated going into
I want more
year.
info on him. I mean, I want to see him as the left tackle for 17 games.
Right.
But
if you're like looking at, for the Seahawks with Charles Cross isn't a superstar left tackle.
But they're happy with him.
They're happy with him, and they pick up the option at 17.56.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be where you're going to be at with Broderick Jones.
And they're probably happy with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas you look at like Trevor Penning, and they didn't pick that up, and it's like, okay, I get it. He's not even a starter.
No. I mean, he's drafted tackle second year in a row.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be a starting guard or play at all for them.
Yeah. So it's an interesting puzzle.
It is an interesting puzzle.
You have to keep looking at it.
But at least it's on the horizon. GMs can plan for it.
Right.
You got this decision, and you'll have a ballpark what he's going to make.
In that regard, though, and there were no running backs on this list, the running back numbers for the fifth-year option isn't outrageous.
I remember it wasn't crazy.
The only problem with it is when you make that offer to the running back after his third season, you're guaranteeing the fourth year, fully guaranteeing the fourth year and the fifth year.
Right. I mean, that's
at a wear and tear position.
At a wear and tear position. I mean, I thought Najee at the time was an easy pickup, and then when they didn't, I understood it better and realized
once
it was
you thought
an easy
it out,
decline. It was an easy decline.
Yeah.
It was not because he's a bad player. It's just I don't want to guarantee 2 years.
Fully guarantee 2 years to a running back that's not
that at that point and never miss time, runs as hard as possible. I mean, destined to get banged up, and he hasn't, to his credit, which is pretty incredible. But man,
and I say that because if the Steelers hadn't taken, if Derrick Harmon had been gone before their pick,
if that's Hampton or Henderson or whatever, right?
Omari and Hampton or Travion Henderson would have been a Steeler. That was going to be their pick, not a quarterback. They were taking one of those two running backs.
Okay. I know they liked them both a lot, and I would understand it, but that's a tough decision.
Yeah.
I mean, you would hope at that point they hit a Pro Bowl too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're using a first-round pick on a running back, you'd hope they'd be in the Pro Bowl.
Well, and Najee had, so that was...
Yeah, it skewed it a little bit too. It didn't help his cause.
Well, I guess he wouldn't have been voted as a starter to the Pro, or...
Oh, he would have been a tier 2
I think he was.
guy.
He might have been like first alternate or something like that.
Clearly had the playing time.
Yeah, clearly had the play time, but would have been expensive. And as it turned out...
That's when you draft one in the third round.
Yeah, so... Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. When we come back, we need to turn the lights back down because we're going to be joined by the Dean of Doom, the Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola, right after this. And welcome back to The Drive. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson, and you can tell by the foreboding music, we are now joined on the, not the Justin Miller hotline today. Today it's the CJ Wolfley hotline by Bob Labriola, editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com, and the Dean of Doom and Lord of Living in His Fears. How you doing, Labs?
I thought you used that music for Mel Kiper, too.
No, it'd be more crazed. I don't even know what it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good. Starting to get my body back to normal rhythms after the 3 days of the NFL draft, which is anything but a normal, situation. But it was pretty interesting. Matt, how's your throat?
I'm all right. I've had to do a lot of shows since, so no rest for the wicked, right? Got my coffee here. I'm ready to rock. All right.
We rubbed them down, and
Yeah.
Gave him some
Get
horse
right
liniment,
back in there.
You know,
I was a little weary at the end, I must say.
Bob, looking at how the draft went for the Steelers, how things played out, anything that surprised you there that took place?
I wouldn't say surprise. I mean, I thought I liked it. It made a lot of sense to me. I think that, there wasn't any, what's the word? I guess craziness or trying to make something out of nothing. I mean, I think that the Steelers allowed the picking to come to them, and then they made some solid decisions based on value at that spot and the needs on their roster. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about the draft is Friday was just a slog. I didn't realize how, it's and it's, this is us talking here too. It was mentally taxing, to be there all that time and not have a pick.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no doubt. The people in Cleveland the last 3 years having no first-round picks, no second, no thirds. Like, what are you doing all day?
Right.
For 2 days.
Right. And it's not like you can just, go lay down and take a nap and, wake up 10 minutes before, it's your turn to pick again, because you kind of have to be paying attention to what's going on.
Right.
But, it's just really, I don't know, just kind of watching everybody else do all the shopping. You don't get to do anything like that. So yeah, Friday was, it would be okay if, like the last 2 picks of the 7th round weren't there and you were done early. But when you have that long gap in the actual middle of it, it was a little a test of endurance, I think.
So, Labs, I think Mike Tomlin said it wasn't an agenda to be so Big Ten happy in their draft class, but I also don't think it's a shock or a surprise that they took multiple players from Ohio State and Iowa. Do you agree?
Oh yeah, and I think what's going to happen now in future drafts, it's going to be all Big Ten and SEC players, or let's say the majority, because. There's a lot of teams now in each of those 2 conferences. It's not like there were just 8 or 10 teams. The Big Ten is such a misnomer now.
Yes, apparently they can't count in the Midwest.
Right. Well, they'll do a whole much better job in the Southeast either.
They can count the dollar bills.
Yeah. Well, and that's why you're going to have the primarily 2 conferences, I think, dominating the NFL draft. Those are the schools with the NIL money. Those are the schools that are playing big time football every week. And so, it's just natural, I think, that the NFL is going to go looking for players in the leagues that are able to closest replicate the level of football that is played in the NFL. I mean, the Big Ten and the SEC, those schools, they know how to run the ball. I mean, it's not all, air raid offense or throw it 70 times. It's not like, some of the like Big 12 schools, they never run the ball. You're throwing the ball whether you're up by 60 or down by 60. Not a lot of defense is played. So, it doesn't surprise me, and I think it's kind of the start of a trend, and it'll only grow, I think, as we move on here down the road unless the college football does something to, distribute, I won't say the wealth, but maybe that's the word that's the best
Probably the
word.
right word, yeah.
Distribute the wealth around to some of the other schools and some of the other conferences.
Or at least put some limits on what they're able to spend. Like, there's no salary cap right now in college football.
Right.
This is really, for people that complain about the NFL system.
Yeah.
This is what college football right now is what the NFL would look like if there wasn't revenue sharing in
Ohio
place.
State's the Yankees, and right, yeah.
I mean, right now, Pitt would be Green Bay.
Yeah, the Pirates. Right, yeah.
That's what you're looking at right now.
And speaking of Pitt Labs, I heard some people even say, like what you mentioned too about Pitt, or about the two conferences, that Cam Ward, he was in the ACC but didn't go to the playoffs. I'd like to see him play some better competition. Like, I mean, you never heard that before from someone from the U.
Right, exactly. And the salary cap is what differentiates the NFL from Major League Baseball. And the other thing that's bad about it, I believe, in college football is, guys, the transfer portal, is messed up. I mean, they have to get that under control and, get a specific window and limit it, try and regiment some of this stuff, because, these guys, players are just, I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it was on the internet, so it has to be true, right? That you look at the top quarterbacks available, projected to be available in the next draft, like all but one or two of them have been in the transfer portal.
Oh, I bet.
And quarterbacks, I think it's really a situation that is kind of conducive to that kind of craziness, because a kid, there's no sitting behind Arch Manning.
Right.
If you're at Texas, you're going somewhere else. It's shocking to me that he didn't go anywhere. He sat behind Ewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Matt talked about this yesterday when he was recruiting at Pitt. You kind of had the board in front of you, knowing, okay, we got this senior offensive tackle, and our next guy is like a freshman. Our next guy up is a freshman.
Gap between them, so we better get a JC kid.
Better get a guy there.
Right.
Now you don't know it from year to
year.
year.
How to plan what's going to come back.
Right. So, in recruiting, I don't know if recruiting anymore, by recruiting I mean high school kids, I don't know if that's the lifeblood of a college program anymore.
It certainly isn't.
It can't be, I would imagine.
Why would you want to gamble on an 18-year-old when you can probably wait a year or two, look at a 20-year-old and have a better idea of what he might be, or what he is and what he might become, than a 17 or 18-year-old kid coming out of high school.
And there's so much time spent on recruiting.
You're spending this time. If you bring in the 18-year-old recruit, and he is not a every down starter for you, or he doesn't like his playing time, he's just going to leave after a year.
Someone will take him.
Somebody else will take him.
Yeah.
So I just wasted my time recruiting that kid.
You know how many hours you put into getting a kid to say yes to your school?
And there are so many other non-significant factors that you have to weigh. Cash. How many people in that kid's family is he responsible for? Financially. And if, he might like the coach, and he might like the facility, and he might even not hate, his role at that point in his college career. But if somebody comes up with $10 or $15 or $20,000 more, somebody might be in his ear, hey man, you got to go and, go for the money. We need the money. So, yeah, it's messy. I think it's only going to get messier. And I don't know that it is a good thing for the NFL to try and to be figuring out all of that as they're also trying to draft and fill holes on their own rosters.
And along those lines, like this past class, it really showed up to me. Everyone's talking about what a great running back class it was. And it was. But so few of them pass blocked. And the wide receiver class, so few of them run blocked. Like, they're already becoming divas where, I'm not getting the ball. I'm not going to run this route hard. That's amazing to me,
Yeah, and here's another position. How many quarterbacks go through their college eligibility and have never called a play in a huddle or taken a snap from under center?
That was everybody at the Senior Bowl this year. They actually
Every one of them, right?
The first day of practice at the Senior Bowl, they had to practice a center exchange with all the quarterbacks because none of them had done it before.
Yeah, yeah, and probably never huddled either, right?
And they don't use a cadence either. They clap their hands.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So,
just a different game.
Yes.
And
yes, it is.
It's
And
free agency every year in college football now.
Yes, and as I said, I don't know that it's a good thing for college football or for the NFL until the NCAA gets a little handle on this in some way that is not against the law.
Yeah,
which is how they got themselves into this pickle in the first place.
Bob, did you have a favorite Steelers draft pick?
Well, I mean, I seriously, I can say something that I liked about every one. The Derrick Harmon pick, I have believed for a while that it was time to do for the defensive line what the Steelers had done in the previous couple of off seasons for their offensive line, and that happened with both Derrick Harmon and Wyatt Black. The Black pick, to me, it was okay to pick a big, stout, run-plugging interior defensive lineman who's maybe a little bit one-dimensional in that respect because you already got Harmon.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, picking a player like Black first, to me, is not the kind of thing you're looking for because I think offenses will just scheme that kind of guy out of the game if you don't have more diversified players at that position who can both play against the pass and against the run. So I like those picks. Caleb Johnson. Let me give Matt some props. The one stat I heard him talking about during the draft, Caleb Johnson running against stacked boxes, and how good he is at that.
Yeah.
So, and then the other one, also talking about the same guy, Arthur Smith talked about his yards per carry in the fourth quarter, and how that is a statement of this guy's ability. And talking about football or Big Ten football, people have had to have watched Iowa lately to understand how bad their offense was trying to throw the ball.
Right.
So this guy had no help.
They haven't had a quarterback since Chuck Long.
And I'll tell you what, I'd call him, an NFL caliber quarterback.
Well, he was a good college quarterback.
Yeah,
I can give him that.
Okay, but not a thrower.
No.
Not somebody that. Okay, so there was that. I love the Sawyer pick. Some people think it was a luxury, but let's not forget, the past couple of seasons or the recent past, the Steelers have had to do some, bargain basement shopping for depth there. Marcus Golden, Preston Smith, that kind of thing. And, I don't know anything about Jack Sawyer except this. He's a guy who I saw make big-time, game-changing plays on defense in big games. And that, to me, is worth something. And that's the same thing for the quarterback, Will Howard. The fact that they won a national championship and he was the starting quarterback and played his best football down that stretch is not something that you should just take lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is this. Ohio State lost that game to Michigan. And for him and them to bounce back from that and play the way they did and go on a run and win a trophy, and he's the quarterback, again, that says something to me that is laudable about him. Carson Bruner, I don't know if Danny Smith can do cartwheels, but he might have been doing some cartwheels because I think this might be the first time a guy was ever picked as a core special teams player, or who will be a core special teams player right from the jump. He's a four. Danny Smith calls him a four-tool guy: punt, return, kickoff, return. He is a find the ball, get the guy with the ball on the ground, and that is invaluable in special teams. And who knows how these modified kickoff rules are going to impact the number of kickoffs returns. I mean, there may be a lot more because of the, moving the touchback up 5 yards. So you need guys who can do that, who will do that willingly, and who understand that is their job. And I think he gives you all of that. Dante Kent gives you some punt returning, and he's a combative corner. You can't ever have too many of those guys. It's seventh round, second pick in the seventh round. You take a shot at a guy like this. He has some interesting production. So, again, as I said, all of these picks made sense to me. It wasn't any of those. What were they thinking about that when the pick was announced? And let me say this too. I was very happy with who and what players and positions that they did not pick. The first round quarterback thing made no sense to me at any point. And I was glad that, they didn't fall into that trap. That's about all I got on the draft.
Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate your time, Bob, and we'll let you get back to plotting the end of the free world in your little house there in the North Hills, and you can get back to that.
Either that or picking up all the sticks that broke off the trees and stuff last night.
Well, I
was Washington County looking there, Dale.
We didn't get hit anywhere near as hard as you guys. I had electricity all day.
Oh, I got hit hard. Our electricity just came back.
Yeah, we were fortunate here, specifically where I live, but other areas of the North Hills were out of power at least until noon today. I don't know how, I'm sure they're getting it close, but yeah, it was, Annie M, get in the hurricane shelter.
Our guest has been Bob Larviola, editor of Steelers Digest and Steelers.com. He is Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. That's going to do it for hour number 1. Matt and I will be back with hour number 2 right after this. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, this is the start of hour number 2 of The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And, Matt, this is right in your wheelhouse.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to take a little look here at coming out of the draft, a little 5-round rookie mock draft for Dynasty.
Wow, I'm a little behind on this, so I'm interested to dig in. I don't even know what the consensus is. And for people who don't know, this is the rookie drafts are starting this week now. I'm in 6 leagues. I think they'll all be done within the next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, this was done by Marcus Mosher, who is your co-host on.
It's funny. I had to stand Marcus up today. We were going to do a podcast, except I didn't have any power.
Well, he obviously did it here without you.
I guess so. That's probably what we would have talked about today.
He persevered. So he has the number 1 overall pick being Ashton Genty with the Raiders.
He's been a slam dunk for months. Yeah. Right.
It didn't really matter where he went. Didn't
matter at all. He's that good.
So this is going to look different than just taking the players. Well, these guys were all drafted first, so we're going to put them in that order.
Very different.
Where they landed at matters.
Absolutely. I mean, a 4th-round running back. Like I haven't seen the list. I don't know what Marcus put together, but like the Texas running back, Blue, who ends up with Dallas without much competition, and they drafted a guard in the 1st round, even though he's a 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah. They basically said, "You're my boy, Blue."
Yeah, my boy, Blue. He shot up boards.
Yeah.
So, and again, if you're not familiar with Dynasty, you keep these. You draft rookies now, and you keep them the duration of their. You can trade them.
You can trade them,
of course, but you're taking them to add to your team for as long as you want them.
At 2, he has Cam Ward with the Titans.
Okay, these must be super flex then.
Yeah.
Okay, because without Ward, he's usually going late first in terms of standard stuff. But a lot of the dynasty leagues are super flex.
At 3, he has Omari and Hampton with the Chargers.
That's kind of where it gets interesting.
It's kind of messy there.
It's real messy. Like in my league that I have the worst team in, I have the second pick in a non-super flex. So I'm going to be choosing between these next couple names, and I don't know what direction I'm going to go. I'm probably going to shop the pick. I know I'm not going to get Genty.
Yeah, right.
You know,
and Hampton eventually will be the guy, but is he going to get a full-time run this year?
Right. I mean,
and they just put a tag on Dobbins, like
the Dobbins part too. I mean, the first round running backs go high in dynasty,
right?
But they usually have a much clearer path,
right? At 4, he has Teteroa McMillan with the Panthers.
There's a strong push for him, and it's not he wouldn't go close to like Neighbors or Adunze even last year, or Harrison.
But there's a clear path to starting and being productive.
It is, but again, it's not a great spot to pick.
At 5, he has Travis Hunter.
That's the interesting one. Like if he goes to a team where it's corner first, I mean, if you had your rookie draft before the NFL draft, that's a tough one.
That's a tough one, yeah.
And it's still kind of tough. I mean, how much is he going to get? If he was wide receiver only, I'm taking him over McMillan.
I think Jacksonville's going to play him primarily at receiver and let him do a little of the cornerback
It's a good
stuff.
landing spot for fantasy.
Yeah.
The Jacksonville and New England were both good spots. So let me ask you, of those 3, which would you take in non-superflex?
I would take another running back.
Someone we haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's some running backs that have some clear paths.
Yeah. Oh, there are.
More so than I think these. I understand receivers do get better value because you can have them perhaps
they have longer careers. Yeah.
But I didn't love any of the receivers going into this draft. I don't love them anymore now that they've landed somewhere.
Right. Like Golden's in a good spot, but he doesn't produce. I don't know if he'll be a huge fantasy producer.
Yeah, and he's going to be like number 3 maybe.
Right. I mean, Egbuka's in a bad spot.
Right. That's what I was thinking of, Ibuka with Tampa Bay. 6, he has Quinshon Judkins with the Browns.
I think he's got a good.
I would like it better if they hadn't drafted another back later in the draft.
And
they drafted Samson.
And drafted Lyman.
Yeah, right.
I think it's just going to be a bad offense.
Yeah.
So I don't love that one either.
At 7, he has Travion Henderson with the Patriots. I would have Henderson ahead of Judkins.
I think I would too. Again, I've not given this a lot of thought yet. That's actually something I need on my to-do list.
I understand.
It's not a great offense either.
They signed Ramondre Stevenson to money, but not this coaching staff.
Right.
Didn't do it.
And I don't think Vrabel's going to tolerate fumbles.
Puts the ball on the ground.
Gibson's kind of a non-factor now.
Yeah.
Would you take Henderson over Hampton?
That's tough.
That's tough.
Yeah.
It's real tough.
And I understand.
None of them are real clean.
At 8, he has Colston Loveland with the Bears. I don't love that either.
No, I really don't.
There's a lot of pass catchers in Chicago all of a sudden.
Yeah, and using your first-round pick on
a tight end, he better be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people used really early picks on Pitts and aren't thrilled about it.
Well, I imagine, yeah.
I mean, but Bowers was a reasonably high pick.
At 9, he has Tyler Warren with the Colts, another tight end.
Yeah, again, I probably wouldn't. I'd be shopping those picks. I'm going to be shopping a lot of my first-round picks this year.
Ew, I don't like this one at all. At 10, he has Jackson Dart.
Well, it's
with the Giants.
It's super flex, but still, I don't know if he plays hardly at all this year.
Right.
And I don't think he's a big producer when he does.
Yeah, I don't see it.
He would be my second quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, Sanders was pre-draft for everybody.
At 11, he has Caleb Johnson with the Steelers.
I get it. First year's a little murky, but I'd have him pretty high. I'd take him over the tight ends.
I would take him over the tight ends. I think there's more. Let's say we did the ESPN rankings with Mike Clay earlier in the week, and he had Johnson projected at 250 touches on the ground for like 900 and some yards, and
it's a pretty good rookie year.
Yeah, and
good
then
start.
A handful of catches in there as well, and
touchdowns,
7 touchdowns. Like,
and by year 2, you hope you're at 13.
He's not fighting with anybody.
Right, right.
It's a much more clear path.
Yeah, the draft capital doesn't worry me compared to the other guys either.
Yeah.
So along those lines, like if we were to start a not super flex, but a regular draft from scratch, a new league,
Right.
Jefferson and Chase are the top 2 picks by 1,000. So I got offered this morning. My internet came back on. They asked for the 2nd pick in the rookie draft, the 5th pick in the rookie draft, and the 12th pick in the rookie draft for Jamar Chase. And I'm kicking it around. Like, that's a ton to give up.
You would be getting Jamar Chase?
I'd be getting Chase. Like, my team's not great. I'm not, like, Chase away from being a championship. Like, there's some teams I would do that for sure. 3 firsts for any player is a lot.
That's a lot.
But I don't know who I'm going to take at 2.
Right.
If the guy at 5 and at 2 are, like, the same dude, it's a lot. I mean, that's a big ask. And I could probably counter with a little less, but it had my attention. I mean, Jamar Chase is really valuable. I could start him for 5-10 years or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting.
I mean, that's a fair deal in the dynasty world,
Yeah.
And his team's terrible, and he just wants as many picks as he can get.
At 12 is Matthew Golden with the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's a lot of...
I don't know, there's a lot of touchdowns in his future. I mean, just for fantasy.
Yeah. Now, Christian Watson may not play this year, but
Right.
Jaden Reed is still there. You still have Romeo Dobbs.
Their tight ends catch a lot of balls.
Yeah,
right.
They throw the ball to the running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
it's
a lot
okay,
there.
But it's not a great pick.
Yeah. He should be all right this year.
Right.
Starting off round 2, he has Luther Burden with the Bears. Again, we're back to this Bears situation. How many catches? If you like Colston Loveland, can you also like Luther Burden?
Right.
Like, how many rookie catches are there for these two guys?
My hunch is DJ Moore won't be there much longer, but he will be this year.
Right.
I mean,
not going anywhere right now.
And this isn't uncommon in dynasty rookie drafts, but how many of those, for you folks that don't play dynasty, on Sunday morning when you put your lineup together, how many of these names you actually check that box and start? You got to it takes a little while.
Takes a while.
It's definitely not Burden.
This guy would be a guy I would have in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
R.J. Harvey with the Broncos.
It's a great landing spot, and he's a good player.
He's going to be their primary back unless he just completely falls on his face.
There's a theory out there in dynasty that to almost treat running backs like it's redraft. He might be the best non-Genty rookie running back this year for fantasy.
He might be. I mean, he might not do the third down stuff for them.
Right.
But okay,
his path is real clear.
Is he that different? Is that situation all that different from what Johnson's got?
It's better.
Yeah, like
it's
there's
better.
they have some other backs that can mix in there that
right.
are pass catchers, but
they apparently love him. They drafted him high.
They took him ahead of Johnson.
Right. I'm not sure it's. I might for this year. I might have him over Hampton.
Yeah.
For this year, and Henderson and Judkins. I don't know.
This one is interesting. Again, we're talking this year. For this year, Tyler Shuck at 3.
I think he's going to be the starter.
He might be the starter. There's a good chance he's going to play more than Jackson Dart.
Oh yeah. I actually, when we talked about Dart, I almost said I might rather have Shuck.
Now, is he going to be the starter next year?
That's the thing, right? I mean, you can, like my Superflex team, I have Will Levis. He's kind of worthless. I didn't pay a lot for him, but I mean, if you have a starting quarterback, like I have Bo Nix in that league, and I got him pretty cheap because at this time, you knew he was going to start, but no one had big plans for him. He's like the 12th most valuable quarterback because he's probably a 10-year starter.
Yeah.
I don't know what Shuck is, but at least he's probably a 1-year starter, and then who knows?
Right.
He could be on another team.
They could trade him.
Yeah.
These next two guys, I might have actually in the first round ahead of some of the other guys. Jaden Daniels with Houston. Or Jaden Higgins, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Jaden Higgins with Houston. And Trey Harris with the Chargers.
Really good spots.
Really good spots.
Yeah.
Like they might be the number 2 guys on their teams.
I don't love that Knoll is there, too. They have Kirk, Collins, Higgins, Knoll, but they did take Higgins ahead of Knoll. I mean, so that's huge. I think Harris is probably an opening day starter and 2 receiver
Got a
sets.
pretty good shot.
Yeah, he's a deep threat. I kind of like this area of the draft better, I think, than picking 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to trade out of early picks a lot the more I think through it.
At 6 is Egbuka with the Buccaneers.
The player's better than the landing spot.
Yeah. Now, 2 years from now,
oh, it could be great.
it could be fantastic.
And you got to have some patience, and
Yeah.
and if you're getting him at the beginning of round 2, he's in the plans.
At 7 is Cam Scatabo with the Giants.
It's okay. There's gonna be a lot of those backs.
Yeah. 8 is Jack Beck with the Raiders.
Okay. Do you think he starts?
No.
I think he's in maybe 3 deep.
Yeah.
I don't know how long Myers will be there. It's okay.
9 is Mason Taylor with the Jets.
3rd, yeah, I mean, right. You're a long way from him being a top 12 fantasy tight end.
10 in the second round is Elijah Araujo with the Seahawks. I like that better.
I like that better. I was going to say, do you like Ferguson better? I mean, the Rams obviously have a plan for him.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't drafted as high.
11 is Pat Bryant with the Broncos.
I didn't love the pick, but he was drafted pretty high.
Yeah. 12 is Jalen Knoll with the Texans.
Okay. There's not many of these that I'm thrilled to use these picks for that player.
In round 3, Bashal Tutin with the Jaguars.
I think that's a decent one. I mean, I think he's pretty close to being him versus Tank for touches within a year.
Jaden Blue with the Cowboys.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned him. One thing that holds true, and we talk about this in just fantasy in general, a lot of these rookies will start, running backs will start slow, but by week 6, 7, 8, it'd be nice to have 3 or 4 of them on your roster. Yeah.
3 is Kyle Williams with the Patriots.
I think I'd have him higher.
Yeah.
I definitely would have him higher.
4 is DJ Giddens.
Where did he land?
I don't know.
Colts.
All he did was put K-State here. He didn't put a team.
Colts.
Okay.
I mean, that's tough.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
You're going to be the backup.
Yeah.
5 is Savion Williams with the Packers, because the Packers always have to take 2 of everything.
I don't have any interest in that.
I don't either.
I don't think he'll ever be a high-volume guy.
Nor do I.
No, he'll get some carries.
6 is Taj Brooks with the Bengals.
I actually don't mind that.
I think he's going to be the number 2.
Yeah. I mean, I think he was 6th or 7th round pick. If he's the 2 in a good offense, I thought he was more of a 5th round pick. Sign me up at that price.
7 is Jalen Milroe with the Seahawks.
In a super flex, you'd love to just stash him on the bench.
Yeah.
You got to be patient.
8, Harold Fannin with the Browns.
Like, that doesn't do anything for him.
I would rather have the next guy, Terrence Ferguson with the Rams.
I'd rather Ferguson, yeah.
I'd much rather have Ferguson.
Yeah. I guess the Rams made efforts to try to get up for Loveland. They publicly wanted to go get Bowers last year. Now, he's not as good as those dudes, but at least they have a plan.
They're going to use him.
They're going to use him, right.
At 10 in the 3rd round is Jarquez Hunter with the Rams.
That one's sort of sneaky, but Blake Corum's there from last year, too.
Yeah.
And
11 is Jordan James with the 49ers.
I don't know what McCaffrey's future is. They traded Mason.
Right. There's a path to playing time.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I'd have him higher.
And 12 is Isaac Tesla with the Lions.
They traded up for him, which I didn't agree with, but they must think he's in the 3 deep.
Yeah.
But, man, that's the nature of Dynasty. But, I mean, it's a long way from being able to start Isaac Tesla on your fantasy team.
Without a doubt.
Obviously.
In round 4.
He could be an active week 1.
Yeah. Trevor Etienne with the Patriots.
It's not bad, but he's the second back they drafted.
Right.
Now, he's not a Patriot. He is he is in the South. We talked about him today. He is a Panther, which is weird.
You better get on Mosher here. He's messed us up.
Just on the 33rd team?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a Panther, which is crowded backfield.
Yeah, that's
too.
a really crowded backfield.
Yeah. I don't know if Brooks will ever be in the way, but
4-2 is Shadur Sanders with the Browns.
It's funny that Sanders is over Gabriel, and I think he should be.
Yeah. 4-3 is Jaquavius Marks with the Texans.
Yay or nay? You think Sanders is a starter anywhere, not this opening day, next year opening day?
No.
I would lean towards no.
No, they're going
to
probably draft one next year too.
Right, or I mean, if he gets traded, it's going to be like a Milton situation.
Yeah. Marks with the Texans at running back.
Okay.
4-4, Elika Yemenor with the Titans.
Titans. I don't mind that one.
Yeah,
I mean, they have Lockett. That's not much of a hindrance. I thought he fell more than he should have.
I honestly don't mind this next one either. 4-5 is Ollie Gordon with the Dolphins.
Not a bad
Just
spot.
because he's different from the other guys.
Yeah, he's a banger. He's big. I like that.
He might be their goal line back.
Yeah,
you know,
they drafted a guard. You know, like okay.
4-6 is Devin Neal with the Saints.
I don't hate that either. I don't know what to think of Kendre Miller, but Kamara's not in the way for long.
7, and they drafted him. It's a new coaching staff.
Yeah, right, right. Good point.
7 is Chimere Dyke with the Titans, another wide receiver.
Some of the smaller little guys, as you know, I mean, just don't translate to fantasy grades.
4-8, Jalen Royals with the Kansas City Chiefs.
It's not terrible. I think I see some Rashee Rice there.
Yeah, and
it's crowded at the moment. That's the thing, right? It's crowded at the moment.
4-9 is Dante Thornton with the Raiders. Yeah,
possibly. He'd never be a high volume.
Never been a high volume guy.
Right.
Yeah. 4-10, Jalen Lane with the Commanders.
It's a tough one too, but a year from now things could open up.
4-11 is Dylan Gabriel with the Browns.
Okay.
I don't see it.
I mean, like along these lines, like I think it was the first year I ever played Dynasty. I picked Russell Wilson here. You know, like he was a 3rd round, looked like Flynn was going to be the starter right after the draft. Started him for 10 years. You know, I was pretty happy about it, you know, late in the 4th.
12 is Jordan Watkins, a wide receiver with the 49ers.
He never moved the needle for me. I didn't love their draft.
5 is Will Howard with the Steelers, 5-1.
He should be on there, but will he be a starter ever? It's possible. I mean, Superflex, those guys get drafted and you stash them, but they're more of a handcuff.
You need to talk to Marcus, by the way, because 5-2 on here, he has Taj Brooks down again. He's so good, you got to draft him twice.
Yikes.
And once in the 3rd round, once again in the 5th.
That's a mistake, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know who he meant to put there.
They might need some editors.
Yeah.
I get it. He putting a lot of names together. He probably meant somebody else there.
I would imagine.
5-3 is Ty Felton, wide receiver with the Vikings. Yeah,
that doesn't do a lot for me either.
5-4 is Arian Smith, wide receiver with the Jets.
I think he's bad.
Doesn't do anything for me.
No.
5-5 is Gunnar Helm, tight end with the Titans.
And to pull back the curtain, even in Superflex, 5th round picks are real throwaways.
These are real throwaways.
Throwaways.
5-6 is Torrey Horton with the Seahawks.
That one I don't hate because I think he's a year away from maybe being a starter there. He has some injury stuff. Like I would take him in the 3rd.
5-7 is Phil Maffa with the Cowboys.
Again, we're really reaching here.
He's a bigger back than what Blue is.
I mean, the fact that he's a Cowboy is important.
Yeah. 5-8 is Keandre Lambert-Smith, wide receiver with the Chargers.
Maybe.
5-9 is Damian Martinez, running back with the Seahawks. That's a crowded backfield.
That's the problem. And he was a late pick. But I mean, if we did this before the draft, I would have taken him in the 3rd round.
5-10 is Cal McCord, quarterback with the Eagles. He is completely different from the starter.
Totally different from the starter. You hope he gets traded in a year or something, or something happens.
At best, he's number 3.
Yeah, that's a tough climb. They like McKee, too.
5-11 is Khalil Mullins, running back with the Titans.
At least he's a bigger back compared to Spears and Pollard, right?
I would take a shot on that one.
He could be the short yardage guy.
And then 5-12 is Riley Leonard, quarterback with the Colts.
He runs, but he's the clear 3.
Yeah.
And they may draft ahead of him, too.
Just kind of gives you an idea here of how
it's a bad class.
How quickly things fall off.
It's a terrible class.
Yeah.
I mean, think about last year, especially in the Superflex. All those first-round quarterbacks were going high. All
wide receivers.
Right, yeah. I'm going to be trading a lot of picks for young players or future picks.
I would, if you don't, I would take a shot at a bunch of these running backs.
That's what a lot of my plan was. Maybe 2/3 of my picks might just be running backs.
Like if you didn't trade out of those spots, what picks did you say you had?
I have in so many different leagues, but I mean the one that I was offered today, I had 1-2, 1-5, and 1-12.
So at 1-2. I'm taking Amarian Hampton. At 1-5, I'm taking maybe Caleb Johnson.
I'd say Johnson or an Ohio State guy.
Or R.J. Harvey.
Right.
And then 12, I'm taking whoever, if one of those guys is left over, maybe I take Quinshon Judkins or one of them. I just take 3 running backs and say, 2 of these guys are going to hit.
That's the thing is.
Maybe all 3 of them do, and now I've got something I can trade.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of logic to that because I don't love the receivers.
I don't either.
Am I going to be thrilled to have Tet McMillan for the next 4 years. I don't know. I mean, is he even – am I starting him over George Pickens?
No.
Probably not.
No.
I'm starting him over T. Higgins?
No.
Probably not. You know, like it would take a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good receivers in the league. When can Ted McMillan start for me?
But these running backs, I think, given some
their
of the
path
spots,
always opens up.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
And they're tradable.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. If I'm trading 3 running backs for Jamar Chase, now I'm going to have to think about it a little bit.
That's kind of the thought, right?
Like if these guys are all, let's say they're all 900-yard backs or 800-yard backs as rookie. I could start 2 of them every week.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of these leagues, too, you start an extra guy. I mean, there's 2 flex spots, things like that.
Chase is nice to have, but.
Yeah. I mean, Chase you can always turn into future picks.
Right.
In a heartbeat, of course. I mean, he's the most coveted asset.
But the running backs you can turn in,
Yeah.
These guys, one of these guys goes out and runs for 1,400 yards as a rookie is like, I'm set.
Now you're set. That could be Hampton.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a strong case for Hampton at 2.
Yeah.
But, man, usually 2 is neighbors. And you're real happy about it.
Yeah.
So, not a great year.
Anyways, that was a rookie fantasy draft there for the Dynasty Leagues from Marcus Mosher on the 33rd team. We're going to get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. Welcome back. I am Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And, Matt, there was a piece here on, again, the 33rd team by Ian Valentino talking about the teams that improved the most in the 2025 NFL Draft.
Okay.
And I think there needs to be a caveat there with this because, once again, I think people are overlooking the fact that the Steelers traded their second-round draft pick
Right.
to acquire DK Metcalf.
Like, I don't know if the Raiders are on this list, but they got a starting quarterback out of their draft picks, too. Like, that helps. I mean, that's a lot better than Aiden O'Connell. I mean, that's a lot. They'll take DK Metcalf over Van Jefferson. I mean, I think that has to be factored in.
Well, he does have the Raiders as the number 1 team on here.
Well, I guess Genty, no matter what, would be an immediate boost.
And their draft class was Ashton Genty, Jack Beck, Darian Porter, Caleb Rogers, offensive lineman out of Texas Tech. Bit of a reach there.
Yeah.
But again,
all the O-line reaches. Had to be.
Charles Granite picked 99, which was right about where he.
I'd say if one of those 2 hits, they'll be happy.
Yeah. Dante Thornton, this kind of overdrafted him at 108.
I thought so too. I thought Al Davis showed up for a pick there.
Just tipping the cap to the history of the Raiders. Then they got Tonka Hemingway, the defensive tackle out of South Carolina at 135. J.J. Pegues, the defensive tackle out of Mississippi at 180. Everybody loved them taking Tommy Mellott, the quarterback out of Montana State, and then following that up with Cam Miller, the quarterback out of North Dakota State, at 213 and 215.
I think they played in the title game or whatever.
They're gonna make Mellott a wide receiver.
That is so Tom Brady. It's Julian Edelman coming out of Kent State.
Yeah.
That's exactly who that guy is.
And he runs well and does all that. But you don't know if he can play wide receiver.
No,
no idea.
Total projection.
Yeah.
Like Denver's last round pick was a basketball player. He had 5 catches. They were all touchdowns.
Yeah.
And they call him a tight end, but he's really not a football player.
So they, like the Browns, took 2 quarterbacks.
They also had a lot of picks.
But they had a ton of picks.
You're right.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the Raiders. I think it's a good Raider draft. I don't know if they're drastically better, but, I mean, if you have the offensive rookie of the year and Genty runs for 1,500, that sure helps.
Yeah. It's
right.
It's not going to be bad.
No, it won't be bad.
And
they didn't even give him Geno Smith credit.
Right. Which I think they should have factored
They should.
into that.
They should, yeah.
Because
they maybe should be number 1.
There weren't any trades during the draft.
No players moved at all.
No players moved at all. So all the pre-draft trades for players, it was that one, and it was
Metcalf.
And
Big
Metcalf.
ones, right?
Those were it. Those were the 2 big ones.
Yeah. For picks.
Like, he has the Cardinals next.
Okay.
The Cardinals got Walter Nolan. Then they drafted Will Johnson at 47, the cornerback out of Michigan, which was good value.
I love that Nolan goes with Calais Campbell in kind of a Cam Hayward kind of way.
Yeah, that's not a bad. That's a good
spot for him.
Yeah.
Who knows on Will Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, there's amiss, but if he hits.
78, they took Jordan Birch, the big edge rusher out of Oregon. At 115, they took Cody Simon, the linebacker out of Ohio State. They then, at 174, took Denzel Burke, the cornerback out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
At 211, they took guard Hayden Connor out of Texas, and then at 225, they took Keaton Crawford, safety out of Nevada.
I mean, clearly a very, very defensive-heavy draft, which they needed. So a lot of those D guys will play early, I would think.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so therefore, I guess they should be on the list.
But is that markedly better than some other teams that they're number 2 on this list?
I'm shocked they're 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked too.
Boy,
I mean,
they're so much
they
better.
helped themselves.
Yeah. I mean, every team did. But
right.
I was shocked when you said them too.
3 is Seattle.
Okay. Again, but you go heavy on one side of the ball.
And they had a ton of picks.
Right.
They took Gray Zabel, the guard out of North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if he'll be a center or guard for him, but I think he'll be good.
At 35, they took Nick Emuwari, the safety out of South Carolina. 50,
people like that pick more than I do.
Yeah, 50, they took Elijah Araujo, the tight end out of Miami. 92, they took Jalen Milroe, quarterback.
That doesn't make him better
Alabama.
now, though.
No. 142, they took Riley Mills, the defensive lineman out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot for me.
At 166, they took Torrey Horton, the wide receiver from Colorado State.
But he might redshirt with injury.
At 175, they took Robbie Oates, the
he's like a tight end fullback, I think.
Yeah, tight end out of Alabama. At 192, they took Bryce Cabaledu, guard out of Kansas. I never even heard of that guy.
So there's some 7th rounders I had never heard of.
Especially the interior offensive line.
And some of the linebackers I'd never heard of, too.
Yeah.
The Bears took a linebacker out of Maryland in the 5th round I'd never heard of.
223, they took Damian Martinez, the running back out of Miami.
I like it, but he's your third back. He doesn't make you that much better.
At 234, they took Mason Rickman, offensive tackle from Iowa.
I'm pretty shocked they're on this list, too.
And at 238, they took Ricky White, the wide receiver from UNLV.
Okay. I assume he thinks Enuari and Zabel are immediate big-time contributors.
And Araujo's going to...
Yeah. I mean, he'll fight with Fant, I would think, but okay. I don't look at them like, oh, wow, now they're going to win.
Markedly, yeah,
they're going to win 12 games now, you know?
Yeah, I don't see that.
I don't really either.
Next up is the Ravens.
Okay.
You got Malachi Starks at 27.
Mm-hmm. Mike Green would carry a lot of weight for this exercise.
Mike Green at 59. Yeah. Emory Jones at 91. They're going to probably move him to guard.
I think that those two dudes are going to fight for guard spots.
They took Teddy Buchanan, the linebacker out of California, at 129.
I didn't know a ton about him either. That's a bad
He's undersized. And,
right, yeah.
At 140,
doesn't he spell his name wrong, too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
141, Carson Vinson, the offensive lineman out of Alabama A&M. At 178, Bill Alcone, the cornerback out of Western Michigan.
Again, a lot of picks.
186, Tyler Loop, the kicker out of Arizona.
I guess you got to give kickers a little credit for this because they're kind of a starter. I mean, does he play more than the corner?
How many kickers, though, have we seen that have been drafted that don't work out?
Oh, all the time.
It happens all the time.
All the time.
203, LeJonte Wester, wide receiver out of Colorado.
Again, depth.
210, Aeneas Peebles, defensive tackle from Virginia Tech.
I can see him playing in spot duty.
212, they got Robert Longerbeam, the cornerback out of Rutgers.
I like that pick.
I like him.
Yeah. For where they got him, I really liked it.
And then 243 was Garrett Dellinger, a third guard that they took in
guards
this draft.
are bad.
Yeah.
We saw a side note. I told you on my other podcast, we've been going division by division. And when you really break down, we spend 10 minutes on an entire draft class, Bears, whoever. Like we talked about Tampa today. Tampa had 6 picks and only drafted 3 positions.
Yeah.
They drafted 2 DNs, 2 corners, 2 wide receivers. A lot of teams doubled up at positions this year, more than usual. I mean, Steelers did at D tackle, but a lot of teams did. I mean, we were talking about Cincy before. They took 2 linebackers, 2 guards. Talk about Baltimore. They took 3 guards. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of these teams really hit a position hard.
Yeah, right.
More than most years, I'd say.
He only lists those 4 teams on here.
Okay.
And again, I think if you factor in the acquisition of DK, even if you don't factor in DK Metcalf.
Right. An early running back goes a long way back to the Genti conversation. Yeah. I mean, you could say the Browns, the Patriots, just because a running back that's going to get a lot of snaps.
The Broncos.
Yeah, get back to the dynasty conversation. Maybe that should carry a little more weight. Like a lot of these receivers, I don't think are instant impact guys.
No, not at all.
You know, I mean,
not at all.
Will Golden lead the Packers in receiving? Maybe.
I mean,
will Ted McMillan lead the Panthers in receiving? Probably. But
even
that's
even the tight ends. I mean,
right. I agree.
You know, if you're not taking one of those top guys, you know, is Jack Beck really going to make that big of a?
He probably ends up with 350 yards this year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not a bad pick necessarily, but
doesn't make you immensely better.
Right. I'm trying to think who I would take though. Speaking of Tampa, I mean, like they didn't need a receiver, but that might help them win games.
Keeping a strength of strength.
Yeah, strength of strength. I mean, that 3-receiver set is no fun to go against.
Look at like Jackson Smith and Jigba, for example.
Yeah.
2 years ago in Seattle.
Rookie year.
His rookie year. Didn't do much.
Slow, yeah.
Now, last year, he was he emerged enough.
Lockett got older. He took over year 2. Right. That could be the Tampa situation.
Yeah.
Who knows, you know.
But he didn't do anything his rookie year.
No. Should Tennessee be at the top of the list?
I mean, I think they helped themselves.
Of course. I mean, you're the first pick in the draft. You help yourself. But
they're going to be. I think they're going to be better. Well,
I mean, I'll be shocked if he's Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I bet there's a lot of ups and downs with him this year. I'm trying to think of other teams that would. How about Atlanta? They gave up a ton.
But they got 2 edge rushers.
But if they got
if they actually have a pass rush,
right? If they can get 15 sacks between those 2 dudes, and
I think they looked at it like what the Rams did. Like, we're just going to throw a bunch of picks at this.
I'm tired of being
We're going
to
get this right.
I'm tired of being terrible. Yeah. And they trade up for him too, but they added the Notre Dame safety Watts. I mean, if you put him next to Bates, okay, I bet he starts immediately. They gave up a lot, but I think Atlanta got better. I mean, they probably would have made my list of who improved the most for now.
Yeah.
Jacksonville added Hunter. I mean, that's 2 positions of somewhat need or a big need that you would think makes an instant impact, but they didn't get a lot else. Trying to think other teams that got. I mean, the Browns made a ton of picks. They're not the picks I would have made. I've been really critical of them, but they're a lot better at running back. They're better at linebacker, I guess. You know, I'm just trying to think.
Well, I mean, if they had Koromora, they wouldn't be.
Yeah, is he injured?
Yeah.
Okay, like
he may not play at all this year. Okay, I think that's why they made the 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, which is kind of desperate. But he's not a bad player.
He's different from Koromora.
Yeah, a lot bigger. Maybe they'll complement each other well someday.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a tough list to put together.
Yeah, it would be. Anyways, let's get to a break. He is the Matt Williamson. I am Dale Lolley. You're listening to The Drive here on the Steelers Audio Network. And, of course, you can hear The Drive every Monday through Friday right here on these very airwaves from 4 to 6 p.m. You can also download the Steelers mobile app and get the show there and get all the other information is out there on the Steelers. You can also go to the YouTube channel and watch the show there, listen to the show there, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. There's always good content on there as well on the Steelers channel. But we're going to get to a break. We'll be back to finish up the show right after this. And we are back. I'm Dale Lolley. He is the Matt Williamson. And Matt, much like the Ryan Watts retirement earlier this week, but from the Steelers, the 6th-round draft pick safety out of Texas, because of the injury he suffered at the end of last season, at the end of last preseason, I should say. Jordan Travis, the quarterback the Jets drafted out of Florida State last year. Now, they knew going into it he had suffered a knee injury.
Right. He went rounds later than he would have.
Yeah,
right.
Several rounds.
Yeah.
He is retired from football because of that injury. He just can't get it.
You hate it. I mean, it's just the worst. Without question, it's the worst part of the game. You know, I mean, and it's a violent sport, and unfortunately, this happens a lot. And I don't have much more to comment on it. I mean, I think that they took a flyer, hoping he was
the 171st pick in the draft.
Yeah.
It was worth a shot.
Yeah, it was worth a shot.
Because he was a really good college football player.
Mm-hmm. Good athlete, and I forget what kind of injury he had. Was it a knee?
It was a knee, yeah.
I thought so. Yeah. It was something that was worse than just Joe average knee. And fortunately, I mean, this happens less than it did 20 years ago, and, you know, medicine's come a long way. But, man, I mean, imagine – I always put myself in their shoes. Big-time quarterback at Florida State that knows, man, I got injured at the wrong time. I would have been a 3rd-round pick, a 2nd-round pick.
Probably a second-round pick at worst.
I would think.
Yeah.
And then I got to spend this entire year rehabbing like crazy, trying to fit in with teammates, but not able to do anything on the field, sitting in a quarterback meeting room with Aaron Rodgers, like, wow, here I am, and then never get the opportunity.
Yeah, it's just not going to pass. And people might ask, well, why does that kind of stuff happen now? Well, they take physicals, coming off of that stuff, and the doctors say, yeah, that's not. You shouldn't play again.
You shouldn't play anymore, right?
Yeah.
And there's head injuries and neck injuries and stuff like that too that are real scary that could change your life. Again, I don't have a lot to comment on. I just feel so bad for the young men too.
It happens, yeah.
Both those guys,
It's as you mentioned, a violent game, and that's why, when
they can't retire off the money they've made. By any stretch.
Yeah.
I don't know what their degrees are in or whatever, or if they plan on getting into coaching, but it's different when 8-year veterans got millions in the bank and put good work in and had a bad knee injury. That's part of it.
Yeah. I for like with Watts, he was at the facility every day last year.
Was he?
Like he was there, putting in the time and spending the time there because he thought he was going to come back and play. And
we at least saw him on the field. I assume Jets fans never saw Travis, in training camp or anything.
Yeah,
but right,
unfortunate.
It is. It's brutal.
Speaking of brutal and unfortunate, the NFL. Not that this is the brutal and unfortunate part of this, but they have fined the Atlanta Falcons $250,000.
Yeah.
And defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich was fined $100,000 himself because of the prank calls his son made to Shedeur Sanders during the draft.
See, I think it's such a mean and terrible thing to do, again, on such a big day, such a big stage. These guys work so hard, and you pull the rug out from under them. Now, I don't know the details. I mean, did Ulbrich have an iPad laying around?
Apparently that's what happened, and the son saw it and grabbed the numbers.
And then the numbers are protected. Not everyone in public needs to know Shedeur or Cam Ward or anyone's personal phone numbers, of course. But this kid is 21.
21. He's not a kid.
He's not like under Ulbrich's roof.
This isn't
as a
12-year-old.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Like, at what point is it not the coach's fault anymore? And your 30-year-old son that has two kids
know better.
lives in a different house should be the one dealing with it. That stole dad's iPad because
thing
dad
is though
they
can't find the kid because
of course,
he's not an NFL employee.
Right.
And is this a jailable offense? No,
right.
But it's something that shouldn't happen, and if
it can't happen.
If this doesn't serve as I
guess it's a good reminder or a warning, right?
A good warning to hey guys, you can't just leave stuff laying around.
Yeah.
Even in your own house.
So Ulbrich got fined, not the team.
The team got fined $250,000.
Okay, so
he got an extra 100 on top of that.
Which I don't know what Ulbrich makes. I mean, he's a defensive coordinator.
Coordinator. He's
doing okay.
I'll bet that's at least 1/10 of what he's making, if not more.
It's probably 10% or so. It's a huge fine for him.
It's a significant fine.
It doesn't phase the team, but I think your point is right that the next kid that picks up daddy's iPad and thinks it's funny probably isn't so funny, right?
It's not. It's not funny.
It's not. It's mean,
right?
I mean, it's flat out mean, right?
Like, especially, and
I feel for Ulbrich too.
There were other guys, and
I'm not sure what he did wrong.
He was just fined for the Sanders call. There were other guys who were called in this draft. Mm-hmm. Now, whether that was him or whether that was his frat buddies,
right,
who he gave the numbers to, somebody called those people too.
And that's what it was.
There weren't multiple leaks. I wouldn't think it was this.
It wasn't a bunch of fraternity dudes drinking beers, doing whatever on Thursday, Friday night, thinking it's hilarious. Right.
I told him we already got one.
Right.
I told him he had been drafted.
So I wonder, does this happen every year? I kind of bet it does.
This is the first time it's been publicized.
And now the NFL's had enough of it, and we're just going to
I bet it hasn't happened before.
Really?
Not to this level.
That's pretty bad. And Shedeur is such a public
the reason that
figure, obviously.
The reason that they smack these guys so hard is because I don't think it has happened before.
Okay.
I don't know. So Tyler just looked this up. Ulbrich's making $1.6 million.
Okay. He's a coordinator. He's a coordinator. Right. He was the interim head coach for the Jets.
Yeah.
Right.
So he got hit with 1/16 of his salary for the year.
It's like 1 week of it's like Aaron Rodgers or Ben Roethlisberger losing the week 12 paycheck. You know,
it's a significant amount of money.
No matter what, significant amount of money. Even if he's making $5 million a year, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be real thrilled with Sonny Boy.
Oh,
I don't know that Thanksgiving or how's dinner going to go? And the thing is, this
isn't wrecking Mom's car.
No, right.
I put a little dent in the car.
Right, like okay, we can handle that.
Yeah.
But at what point is Son old enough that it's not my fault anymore as dad? You know, I mean, like I don't know.
21.
I mean, he's an adult.
You're in that range.
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know if he's out of the house yet, if he's in college, which a lot of 21-year-olds are.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of layers to it.
No, well, definitely would not be real. I'll bet it's not real. Things aren't real rosy right now at the Old Bridge house because this reflects badly on him. I mean, he was the guy who was the interim head coach for the Jets last year.
Right. No, he had a bright future.
He had if he did well with
I'd say, does it hurt his career?
Potentially.
I mean, you take it back to football.
Put it this way, the next job he's hired at, whether it's another coordinator job or whether it is this is going
That's
to be
what I was thinking, right.
Jeff Ulbrich, whose son did this and he was fined by the league. That's going to be part of his his identifier.
It's
now.
not former linebacker that played at Hawaii that was a good player. Now he's a great young coach.
Ulbrich,
blah, 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 right.
who was fined $100,000 by the league for
his dumbass son.
Yeah.
Right.
It's there. That's the identifier.
And I always like to bring it back to football because that's something I know better about. Is Atlanta's acting like they're on the hot seat. They're trading future picks, and it's all about the defense. We're drafting 2 edge rushers. We're trading up for another safety. Defense better get fixed, and now
your
it's one
coordinator
more.
just got us fined $250,000.
Right,
I had to write that check.
One more layer of we don't like the defense around here.
Arthur Blank's got a lot of money, but still, if you write out a check for $250,000, you're not happy about it
because someone got
you're not getting anything out of it.
No, right. It wasn't like you cheated and violated something.
Yeah.
Crazy story.
Yeah,
there's always something weird around the draft.
Yeah. Well, hopefully nothing weird around the draft next year because it's going to be here in Pittsburgh. They had 600,000 people attend the draft in Green Bay. Now, not all at one time.
Sure.
Basically 200,000 people per day.
Okay.
The record was 775 2 years ago in Detroit.
Wow.
I'll bet you Pittsburgh tops that.
I bet they do too.
It's just so easy to get. It's easier to get to. It's more centralized.
Yeah. I remember the one in Tennessee, the Nashville one.
It was massive.
Massive, and it was real easy to get to, and every street looked like it was.
How many cities can you drive here from that have NFL teams?
Right.
Let alone the entire East Coast that all the football fans, regardless of who they're rooting for, can get here.
I mean, as we saw in Hard Knocks, too, the division is closer than any other division. They're going to be a lot of Ravens and Browns and Bengals fans floating around.
It is going to be an event.
Buffalo, Philly, right. No, that's going to be cool.
Absolutely. But, Matt, that's going to do it for our show today. We want to thank everybody for listening. I'd also like to thank my partner, Matt Williamson, CJ Wolfley over there on the Justin Miller hotline, getting a hold of the Dean of Doom, Lord of Living in His Fears, Bob Labriola. I want to thank Tyler Vittmeyer there. Not only did he handle all the YouTube stuff there, made things brighter, went out and got some coffee for Matt.
Right.
Multitasking today from Tyler Vittmeyer. But I'm Dale Lolley. We want to thank you for listening to this edition of The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network.
Steelers football happens here. The Pittsburgh Steelers Audio Network.